Welcome to Michigan Reimagined, presented by T.A. Forsberg and Wagoner Financial. And here's your host, Chris Buck.
Lansing's produced a lot of talented people, and talented people are often lured away to chase their dreams elsewhere, but every now and then we get a starter return home. Here to share his story about how he's giving back to his community is the former basketball star, Jon Horford. Welcome back to the show, Jon.
Chris, thanks for having me on again.
Absolutely. We had you on maybe a year and a half ago to kind of talk about this endeavor, but now that it's got some life into it, I wanted to bring you back for an update and kind of hear how this program's evolved. So thanks for joining me again.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, so just share with our listeners, a brief bio. Where'd you go to high school? Where did basketball take you, and when did you come back to the Lansing area?
Born in Lansing, started out in Lansing Public Schools, actually. Then my family moved out to Grand Ledge. Went to Grand Ledge High School, was fortunate enough to get a scholarship to the University of Michigan, did my undergrad there, did my grad year and master's at Florida, and then played professionally for several years and came back to Lansing to sort of start my life post-basketball with my wife.
Right on. Good for you. All right. So clearly you were gone for a little bit. What made you decide to come back to Michigan?
Really, it's home.
Yeah.
It's home. We feel comfortable here. We have people that we love here. And we also just saw opportunity to come and help to, try to make the area a better place for people to live, to give people opportunities. Wanted to come back and see if there are ways that I could help impact lives in the way that people, in this area help put me in positions to be successful and impacted my life. Right
on. So I'm not a Lansing native, right? So in preparation for the show, I wasn't in town when you went through your heyday. And so I did a little research, and I checked out your LinkedIn and some websites and stuff. You wear a lot of hats and you've done a lot of things. Talk a little bit about the things you do outside the conversation we're going to have about your involvement with Lansing Public Schools.
I guess there are a lot of hats. I'd probably forget a lot of things that I do. So right now, I actually, as my full-time job, I'm a lobbyist. So I work for GCSI, which is a lobbying firm. I've been there for over 2 years now. And I love that work, and it connects me with a lot of organizations in the state and in the community. I've been a part of a few businesses with my wife. We've started multiple fitness businesses. We've had multiple apps. We do real estate investing as well. I'm sure there are more things. I've been on, I've been appointed, by the governor to some committees.
Nice.
Statewide committees before. Have run some different groups working to bring the community together in a variety of ways. I ran unsuccessfully for office, lost by 25 votes for the state rep seat in Lansing, which was truly a blessing.
Yeah.
Truly a blessing, because I was given, the opportunity to work at the firm that I'm at now, but then also to start the Lansing Student Development Program.
Right, which is what we're going to talk about in depth. But I wanted to share a little bit about the other things you do, because you hear sometimes about, athletes who've retired, from the sport, and they just kind of fade into oblivion, or they do things that are self-serving. But all the stuff that you're doing as outreach and, working on these committees and doing lobbying and at its core, I think it's important to know the man, Jon Horford, doing this great work outside of himself, but rather, it just speaks to your character and all that stuff. And I want to make sure we drove that point home.
I appreciate that.
But so Lansing Public Schools, talk a little bit about how that engagement began and what the goal was when you first embarked on this program.
It's a quick story I like to tell, actually. So I was running for office, and I had never met the superintendent, Ben Schuldener, before. And I had reached out to him to ask if I could read, because I was read to 30 classrooms, throughout my district while I was running. And it was no problem, because I had connections in a lot of these school districts. So I reached out to him and just asked if it would be okay if I read in Lansing. And someone had told him that was probably supporting the other person that was running.
Okay.
He's not even from Lansing. He's from Grand Ledge. And I actually am born in the city of Lansing.
Right.
My grandparents, my grandma's from here, all that. And I was like, well, actually I am from here. I was born in, right off of, what the heck is the street? I can't, it's the old, we spent time in the Old Forest neighborhood.
Okay.
And then we spent time on the west side as well. And I started naming off, like, you know, it was like Canarsie Street and the Old Forest neighborhood, naming off all this stuff. I was like, if you want to tour around Lansing, I'd be happy to do it. And he's like, oh, and we kind of like went back and forth a little bit. Yeah. And then we just kept running into each other at events. And we actually got to, you know each other a little bit and like each other. And I really do like his direct style, and he really does care. He's just very blunt.
Yeah.
And once we got all that cleared up, he gave me a call, like, it was like 2 days after I'd lost the election. And he was just like, hey, did you actually care about helping kids, or were you just bullshitting because you were running for office? And I was like, we've talked about it. I was like, I've been doing this work for, you know, at that point, over a decade.
Right.
And I was just like, you know, yeah, my track record speaks for itself. And he was just like, perfect. He's like, what do you want to do for kids in Lansing? He's like, come in, talk to me, pitch me something. So then I went and pitched him the student development program idea.
Yep. Okay, that's fantastic. All right. So when did that all launch? This is all 2022?
2022. So we had that conversation August 2022. The district officially hired me beginning of October, but the work started August 2022. So from there, it was just securing the facility, which is the Don Johnson Fieldhouse, and then starting to line up the funding and starting to put together a team that I thought would be strong when it came to, you know, providing these services for kids.
And what was the goal that you had in mind for this? What was the need that you were trying to satisfy?
The removal of barriers when it comes to access to training and academic resources and even food. So the idea behind the program was to have a place where kids can come and get high-level training from experienced trainers, or from, you know, people who have become experienced trainers since, who, you know, mostly former college athletes in basketball, volleyball, you know, speed and agility, strength conditioning, soccer, access to tutoring, access to food every day. In addition to access to resources that are not just like, because a lot of times when you give things away for free, people get the worst, like, you know.
Right.
But we have, you know, brand new basketballs. We have, you know, 2 $8,000 shooting machines. We have the nicest weight room in Lansing, like, hands down. And we have trainers for all of that. So no one has to go in blind. You don't have to have any experience. All you have to do is show up and be willing to learn and be respectful of the facility and of the people that are around you. And you can come in and utilize those services completely free.
So there's a confluence of so many different needs, right? I mean, so at face value, you know, as I was kind of thinking about this show, it's like, okay, well, this is just a place for kids to go after school and not get in trouble, right? So idle hands often will find destructive things to do, as opposed to, you know, working on your body or working on skills and creating friendships that are surrounded by a common interest other than making mistakes, you know, that can follow you for a long time. But there's so much more to this based on what you're telling me. I mean, not only is it safe and effective, you know, physical fitness, which I think is obviously a big problem for the youth of today, but I mean, you talked about tutoring. So there's an academic component to this, and what does that look like?
Yep. So we have a partnership with Michigan State, and they send over student tutors for the kids 4 days a week. So you can come in, you can get access to tutoring on a variety of subjects. We also provide laptops for kids, so you don't need to have a laptop or bring a laptop or anything like that. And they can help you with your homework. Tutoring has such a negative connotation sometimes, and I feel like a lot of the students in Lansing and everywhere, they don't want to be associated with that sometimes. So it's changing the narrative. So we call it like homework help sometimes.
Right.
I'll try to just encourage kids, like, you know, please go get help on your homework. Like, my goal would be, you know, to get an A on every homework assignment. If I had access to this help every single day, like, you can do that. Why not?
Right.
And just try to encourage them to do it that way and to remove that negative stigma that comes with getting help. And I try to let the kids understand or show them, like, everyone needs help all the time. Like, I'm an adult now. I guess I am an adult. I don't feel like an adult.
You're like 6'10". You're definitely an adult.
I'm 6'10", but I still feel I'm like
right.
I'm like 18, right? It's like, no, I'm 33.
Yeah.
But I need help all the time. I ask people for help all the time. There's nothing wrong with that. And you guys are children.
Right.
You know, you guys are kids, you guys are young students. Like, of course you need help. Like, everyone needs help. So just removing that stigma and then providing access to these resources consistently, and it's year round.
Yep.
So it's not like something we shut off in the summer. It's year round access to all of these resources.
That's unbelievable. So yeah, and just to drive that point home, yeah, just, hey, come in here. It's a quiet place to go do your homework. And if you have any questions, there's someone here that can kind of help you with that, right? To kind of pop that balloon of, I'm not here to have help. I'm here to just get a quiet place to do my homework. And oh, by the way, help me with,
I wish it was quieter. So one of the good things, it's one of the challenges that we're facing right now is that we just have so many kids coming and participating in the program.
Okay.
And we actually don't have a designated place to do the study table.
The non-athletic stuff.
Yeah, the non-athletic stuff, because we're just limited for space in that facility. So we're actually in the process right now of raising money to renovate the pool area. Most people don't know Don Johnson has like a pool area.
Huh.
It's about a third of the building. So renovating that space and the balcony above it to turn that into a fourth court. And then the balcony portion is about the size of like 2 classrooms. Turn that into a designated space where kids can really like lock in on homework. 'Cause right now it's difficult. It really is challenging for students to get their studying done sometimes just because there are so many kids. I mean, we're talking, on an average day, 130 to 150 kids.
Wow.
Participating. So
you talk about getting over the stigma of asking for help, right? Getting over the stigma of asking for food. I mean, how do you preserve, the dignity of people who have food insecurity? You mentioned that you've got access and resources for food, so kids come there and they can get food if they are looking for it. How on earth do you do that with the dignity intact?
It's pretty easy from the hot food service that we do, just because it's set up almost like a food stand would be, right? So we have a little kitchen, you just come up, kids line up, you get food when you want food. We have snacks, we have a partnership. So the snack bags are provided by, Sodexo, and then we have a partnership with Greater Lansing Area Food Bank.
Okay.
Michelle Lance helped us set it up, so she was wonderful for that. And Crystal Ray, so they provide the food, volunteers make it, so the kids get like homemade meals every day. So getting a higher quality of food helps to remove that as well, instead of just like, here, we're going to give you
Doritos and Mountain Dew.
Yeah, and there are days where we do pass out like, chips and stuff like that because kids like that stuff, but they have access to, fruits, vegetables, healthy protein every day.
Right.
And then we also are a food bank distribution site, but we've set our food bank distribution area up in a way that people don't even have to talk to us or interact with us to go and take advantage of that. It's like in the entryway, it's off to the side.
Okay.
So if someone just wants to walk in the outside door, go over to that area, grab whatever they want, walk out, we'll barely even know. Like you can kind of see if you're like peeking through, but we don't bother people. We don't ask people. You can take as much or as little as you want, like no questions asked. So you remove stigma by, not making a big deal of it.
Right. And for the kids that are there engaged in your full program, just every day, there's just food available. So regardless of who they are, they can wander over and get
the
food.
Trainers eat it too.
Right.
So like there are days where I'll eat the food too. So I mean, it's not like, it's just, you guys can have that food. It's like, I'll get a plate. Like, you know what I mean?
Okay. So you've talked about a couple of partners, Chris O'Ray and the Greater Lansing Food Bank, and obviously Lansing Public Schools, but I know that school districts tend not to be flush with cash. So who are the other benefactors of your program overall? And unfortunately that list is probably long and you don't want to forget anyone, but kind of how does that work? Yeah.
So we have lots of partnerships. The money primarily comes from the Lansing School District and then from grants that we apply for. But we have additional partnerships with 3D Athletes does our strength conditioning. So we pay them to come in, and 3D Athletes, for most people who play sports in this area, know that they really are like the premier, athletic development group in this region, and they have access to that development for free. We're partnered with CATA. We're partnered with Aqueduct, also helps with the tutoring. They pull from the Michigan State tutors as well, so they work in concert with Michigan State to provide us tutors. Additional partners, Todd Martin. So we have Todd Martin Tennis. They're a partner. They come in, they do pickleball during like the winter
with
the kids. And then during the summer, they give free access to their camp for certain students in Lansing schools, which we always need more. There are never enough kids. There's always like, at least 20 scholarships given.
Okay.
And they're almost never utilized. So we would love to see those utilized more. And we've bought all the rackets and balls, so they don't need to provide any of that stuff. Mike Garland, the former Michigan State assistant coach, longtime Michigan State assistant coach, he's a trainer at the program. So we have a partnership with his Agogi youth mentorship. When he first came in, he was like, he's like, Johnny, I've known him since I was little. So he calls me Johnny. He's like, Johnny, he's like, I'm done with that coaching stuff, man. I just want to come in and mentor the kids. By day 2, he's on the court, like setting up drills. And I'm just like, you couldn't help yourself, huh, coach? He's like, I just love it so much. But it's great to have him as a resource, with his experience, as one of the all-time winningest, assistant coaches ever, and a part of all those great Michigan State teams for so many years. So he's a great resource. I'm sure there are more partners that I'm just slipping on. No,
totally
now,
fine. While you're thinking, I'm going to give a nod to one of our sponsors. Are you ready to make smart financial decisions? Wagoner Financial offers proven processes for financial transformation, empowering individuals at all stages, whether you're just starting out, nearing retirement, or anywhere in between. Stop feeling unsure about your financial path. Wagoner Financial can help you undergo this financial transformation. Schedule a consultation today to discuss your individual needs and discover how Wagoner Financial can guide you by visiting wagoner-financial.com or call 517-853-3367. But I mean, no matter how you slice it, you've got maximum talent over there that's being, that's helping these kids do their thing. As a side, I mean, do you ever do like the basketball coach or the football coach for Lansing Public Schools? I mean, are you training some of their kids too? And is that above and beyond, the weight room time that those guys have? And does that kind of work cohesively, or is that separate?
Not as cohesive as I would like. We have a lot of kids who participate on, basketball teams primarily, but also football teams and other teams coming and utilizing the services at the field house. I would love to work closer with coaches to get teams to come in together and train together. And we can fund additional hours for them to get private time in the weight rooms. It's something I've actually been pushing since day one. I sent out an email my first week with Lansing. It was like, I'll take any coach out to lunch. Like, I'll pay for it. I just want to talk to you about utilizing these services. And I've been very surprised in the lack of I want to be delicate.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I've been very surprised that more coaches haven't taken me up on the offer to utilize that space.
Well, you mentioned that the superintendent himself had some misgivings to get this thing started.
He did.
Once you penetrate and you break through and all that stuff.
But he's a massive fan. And another person who helps us out a ton is Dr. Tucker.
Okay.
And, are you familiar with Dr. Tucker?
Not, no.
Oh, okay. So Dr. Tucker's he's like a legend in Lansing. He was Magic Johnson's agent. He was Steve Smith's agent, a bunch of NBA players, some NFL players. He's from the area. Everybody knows Dr. Tucker. He used to have like the biggest, his camp used to be like Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, like all these people used to come to his camp back in the day, and he still runs an annual camp. Great guy. But he's a massive, massive supporter of the program, and will come up and work out and talk to kids, and he tries to get more of these coaches to buy in. And sometimes it's difficult for the coaches because they have a lot of stuff going on, but sure. I know for a fact that if we could get coaches to get their entire teams to buy in consistently, over a long period of time, that the results would speak for themselves. I mean, the improvement from the kids who have just come and participated on their own, for 6 months to up to almost 2 years for the longest tenured ones, it's just a no-brainer. Like, right. Oh, you spend your time training in a structured way, like with people who know what they're doing, and you got better. Like, go figure.
Right on. That's great. So, I mean, is there a way to measure results? I mean, clearly the kids come in and do their thing, but do you have to provide any reporting? Are you set up as a nonprofit, or is there an entity, or is it just all under the schools?
It's all in the school district.
Okay.
So technically it is a nonprofit. We do take, we do testing of the kids when they first come in.
Okay.
Like just skill testing, like to get baseline.
Yeah.
And just, see how they improve. to put it in perspective, when I first started, and I offered this to only the middle school and elementary school kids, and actually a couple high school kids, but I was like, hey, if anyone can make 10 layups in a row with the right hand and left hand, I'll give you $1,000.
Okay.
Not one kid.
Okay.
Did it.
Wow.
Not one.
Now, can they practice for a while and then go back? Or
Any of them that have come for a few months, they can all do that at the very least. At the very least. But just to put it in perspective, I didn't have to pay one of them. And I was going to schools and telling kids this. Like I went to every school in Lansing that would have me. And I said, if you can come and make 10 layups in a row with your right and your left hand, I'll give you $1,000. And not one kid did it.
But you got a lot of kids who probably tried.
We got a lot of kids who tried.
But that gets them in, and now they know what's up. That's great.
It gets them in, and a lot of them come, try, leave, never come back. But we do have a bunch of kids, especially younger kids, who have come and who have bought in and who have been consistent, and it'll pay off. And it is paying off for them. I
did see, I think it was on the website or on a flyer that was attached to your name somehow, but the esports.
Oh, yeah.
Talk to me a little bit about I know what esports is, but how do you incorporate that in your work? Or maybe just for our listening audience, maybe if they're not familiar with what is esports and how do you guys engage?
Even I barely know what esports is. I'm not a video game guy.
Yeah.
But there are opportunities now to get to make a living playing video games, streaming. There are opportunities to get college scholarships and be on a professional team for gaming. So esports is essentially teaching kids how to play, these video games better, and not necessarily in hopes of them, making a career of it necessarily, but just like training, it's the habits that you develop, it's the relationships that you develop,
strategies,
it's
the playing together. Yeah,
exactly.
My son went to Butler University, and I remember in one of the newsletters that they were like putting in a $12 million esports facility. And I'm like, all right, tuition's pretty steep. What the heck are you guys doing? Right. So it's done. And my son's touring us around and all this stuff is junior, senior year. And the place is now open. And we kind of walk in and there's like an area that you can get a membership, like a YMCA type thing. And you can kind of come in and game with their professional gaming stuff. Clearly they probably have Xboxes in their dorms and fraternities and stuff, but this is like the real equipment. And then they said, this is perfect timing because over here, you're going to see these guys. It's almost like a game show. These guys are at consoles and there are 4 of them in a row. And that was like the Butler Call of Duty team that was getting ready to do a Big East tournament with the Marquette team. And the Marquette folks, the 4 of them were up on these big screen TVs so you could see them gearing up and they're all wearing like, branded garb, right? So it's like a game, getting ready for a game. The Butler versus Marquette. This is the Big East showdown. These kids are on scholarship. Yeah. They have training, they have coaches, they practice, and there's different obviously games and stuff that people specialize in. Yeah. I was blown away. So I'm glad you incorporate that because you can't ignore that. I mean, it's out there. And it's a different way for different kids to learn how to have teammates and how to do strategy and all that stuff.
Because not every kid wants to be an athlete. And that's the other thing about the program. You don't have to be an athlete to participate, but you also don't have to be an athlete to be physically active and to move your body. Like I encourage the kids, even the esports kids. Like I had multiple actually ask me yesterday because we were coming back from break. They were like, why do you make the esports kids and all the, the tutoring kids and all the kids do this athletic warm up? I'm like, because you guys should move every day.
Right.
I was like, that's why, even if you're just here for esports, and the esports is cool. Additionally, because we have, PlayStation, we have Xbox, we have Switch, we have, multiple PCs, we have multiple TVs. It's a cool setup. And then obviously just an offering for kids who don't want to be athletes. But even if you don't want to be an athlete, every human that's capable of doing so should be physically active and moving their body multiple times a week.
It's your only machine you're going to have for the rest of your life. You can't break down at 55.
Take care of it.
Yeah, no question.
Take care of it.
Well, this episode is brought to you by the Michigan Rise Pre-Seed Fund, providing early-stage funding to Michigan-based startups. Since 2020, Michigan Rise has helped high-tech, high-growth startup companies achieve commercial and technical milestones through capital formation strategies, talent development, and customer acquisition tactics. With financing options for every stage of the entrepreneurial journey, Michigan Rise significantly increases the impact of new ideas and research. Visit www.michiganrise.com to discover how the Michigan Rise program can help fuel your startup's growth. Michigan Rise is supported by the Michigan State University Research Foundation and the Michigan Economic Development Corporation. So remind me as we kind of get ready to wrap up here, How do kids get involved, and is it limited to people within the Lansing Public Schools catchment? Sorry.
No. Because I'm just thinking like Ben's reaction. He knows this, and we've talked about this. So it is open to kids from other districts as well. It's primarily for Lansing School District students.
Right.
But we have allowed kids from other districts to come and participate and to utilize those services. And all you have to do is sign up online. You can go to, we don't have our own website because we're through the school district, so they just have us under the school district. But if you went to the Lansing School District website, looked up Student Development Program, it would come up. You can click a link. You can sign up ahead of time for sessions, or you can just drop in or open. We have people there from, we open at around 3, we close at 6:30, and you could just drop in, sign up, and it's a no-brainer, especially if you're in the Lansing School District.
Right.
It's a no-brainer to utilize these services. It's access to training that you would usually have to pay, $30 to $50 to, maybe even like $100 an hour for.
Right.
Completely free, plus food, plus access. So, like I said, we have partnerships with, CATA. So we have access to bus cards through the Lansing School District. Everyone, if you win online, you can sign up for gas cards as well. So you can get $50 a month in gas cards through the district. We've also provided hundreds of pairs of shoes. Oh, we have additional partnerships with University of Michigan Health has provided a bunch of clothing.
Nice.
And is going to provide some more stuff in the future. I'm going to stay on them about that. So, we have access to, shorts, shirts. There's really socks, we have gloves, hats, coats, a bunch of different things. All you have to do is come. There's no barrier pretty much. Getting there is the hardest part, and we try to make that as easily as humanly possible.
Fantastic. Well, Jon, I appreciate your work. I wish you continued success and increased partnerships and increased enrollment in all of this. So it's the Lansing Public Schools Student Development Program?
Lansing Student Development Program.
Lansing Student Development Program.
Yep.
Fantastic. Well, we've been talking to former basketball star Jon Horford and the amazing work that you and your partners are doing at the school district level. And thanks for joining me here to tell your story.
Yeah, thank you for having me again, Chris.